Welcome to the presentation on the role of international standards in evaluating the environmental impact of mobile phones. Mobile phones are products with high speed of innovation and high usage intensity, and the adopted technologies are often changing very quickly. It is estimated that around 1.24 billion smartphones are sold every year around the globe. To promote a more sustainable society, the information communication technology industry has recognized that there is a need to provide relevant mobile phone information that will enable consumers to make more informed purchasing decisions, especially with regard to environmental performance. Manufacturers and network operators have been reporting for several years the sustainability credentials of mobile phones based on consumer needs, corporate sustainability initiatives, or environmental footprint assessments, among its others. However, inconsistencies among approaches cause confusion and make comparisons difficult, wasting time and resources for both operators and manufacturers when collecting and providing similar data. The International Telecommunication Union, ITU, as a specialized agency at the UN for all information and communication technologies, is leading the charge in responding to this growing issue. A large part of ITU's effort is the development of standards while its telecommunication standardization sector, ITUT, that help to reduce detrimental effects on the environment by delivering useful information to end users on the environmental performance of mobile phones. Within ITUT, Study Group 5 is the lead expert group on developing these global standards and guidelines. Showcasing these efforts are events such as the annual Green Standards Week and the Symposium for ICT, Environment, Climate Change, and Circular Economy, which act as a global platform where policymakers, field experts, city planners, regulators, standards experts, civil societies, and others can come together to discuss the role of information communication technologies and frontier technologies in facilitating environmental sustainability and climate action. Additionally, the Green Digital Action GDA initiative, led by ITU, is a multi-stakeholder collaboration to step up climate action across the global digital community. Several other events similarly hosted by ITU serve to raise awareness on the intersection of technology, climate change, and the environment, including around issues such as impact of ICTs, e-waste, e-recycling, and the circular economy. In this context, ITUT's Study Group 5 has developed a variety of recommendations related to the issues around e-waste, ICTs, and the circular economy, and is in the processing of developing more that can be seen on this slide and the next two. In this
ITUT Study Group 5
presentation, we'll be
has developed
focusing
a
on
variety of
recommendation
recommendations
ITUT
related to the
L1015,
issues around
criteria for
e-waste,
evaluation
ICTs,
of
and
the
the circular
environmental
economy,
impact of mobile
and is in the
phones.
process of developing more. These can be seen on this slide and the next. In this presentation, we will be focusing on the 6 recommendations that fall under the ITUT L1000 series that is circled in red on the chart. The L1000 series recommendations are designed to ensure that the universal power adapter solution operates within the recognized current and voltage safety parameters by adopting existing ICT device technologies and by considering operators, manufacturers, and associations working within the market. All the recommendations have been set with the aim of reducing e-waste and increasing usability.
This is a continuation of the SG5 recommendations on tackling e-waste and achieving a circular economy. Some of these recommendations will be covered in other courses within this series. This recommendation aims to help to reduce detrimental effects on the environment by delivering useful information to end users on the environmental performance of mobile phones. The recommendation complements the work represented in previous publications, but is based mostly on life cycle assessment principles and eco-design features. It considers, therefore, all life cycle stages of mobile phones, such as the design, production, use, and end-of-life management, and it also defines a minimum level of environmental performance. It is particularly meant to provide a reference for manufacturers to enhance environmental performance at a global level, within the constraints of technology and affordability. Sustainability should be considered for materials, energy use, durability, upgrade and repair operations, end-of-life management, packaging, corporate practice, manufacturing, and operations. However, the recommendation does not include eco-rating, scoring, eco-labeling, or a life cycle assessment methodology, although it references life cycle assessment as part of certain scenarios in the appendix. We start by introducing the eco-criteria that this recommendation covers. The first eco-criterion to be covered is materials. Under materials, the first thing to consider is material restrictions, which means information on material restrictions should be publicly posted, listing mobile phones that meet the requirements of the current European Union Restriction of Hazardous Substances Directive provisions and its amendment, including applicable exclusions and exemptions. Technical documentation, as required in Article 7b of the European Union RoHS Directive, which we just mentioned, can be generated in accordance with other applicable standards or through product testing. The next consideration under materials is compliance with the EU REACH regulation. This regulation requires the manufacturer to provide any evidence to show that the mobile phones are in accordance with Article 33 disclosure requirements for substances of very high concern under the European Registration, Evaluation, Authorization, and Restriction of Chemicals Regulation and the restrictions under Annex 17. This is followed by another consideration under materials, which is low halogen electronics. No metal and no ceramic homogeneous materials in the mobile phone's printed circuit board and accessories, including earphones, cables, and adapters, when supplied together with the mobile phone, must not contain more than 900 parts per million chlorine, 900 parts per million bromine, and a maximum combined total of chlorine and bromine of 1,500 parts per million by weight. The manufacturer is required to provide evidence to show that the mobile phone's printed circuit board and accessories meet these requirements. The next thing to consider is restrictions of DHP, DBP, BBP, and DIBP. These chemicals must not exceed 1,000 parts per million by weight in homogeneous plastic materials used in the mobile phones. Technical documentation can be generated in accordance with applicable standards or through product testing. This is followed by the next consideration, which is recycled and bio-based plastic content. Indications should be publicly posted listing whether the mobile phone contains post-consumer recycled and/or bio-based plastic. The content must be indicated as a percentage of total plastic by weight in the product. Indication of post-consumer recycled and bio-based plastic content must be given separately. Certain parts, such as printed circuit boards, labels, cables, connectors, electronic components, electrostatic discharge components, electromagnetic interference components, films, coatings, and adhesives may be excluded from the calculation. The last thing to consider under materials is problematic compounds. The manufacturer is required to specify whether certain compounds are absent, that is, are less than 0.1% by weight of homogeneous materials in the mobile phones. This stipulates that the external power supply must meet the minimum requirements of recommendation ITU-T L1000, Universal Power Adapter and Charger Solution for mobile terminals and other handheld ICT devices, which is as part of the second eco-criteria to be covered, entitled Energy Use Requirements. The third eco-criterion to be covered is substance restrictions in the mobile phone's battery. This stipulates that each battery cell contained in the mobile phone must, at a cell level, contain no more than 20 ppm cadmium and 5 ppm mercury, as required by the EU Battery Directive of 2013. The fourth eco-criteria to be covered is end-of-life management. Producers' responsibility at the end of life of the mobile phone includes recycling of the mobile phones, which reduces the environmental burden of extracting virgin materials and supports the aim of a circular economy. Manufacturers should promote the design and production of mobile phones in view of facilitating dismantling and recovery of the phone, its components, and materials. Manufacturers must not apply any design measures or manufacturing processes that prevent treatment unless such features or processes present overriding advantages, for example, with regard to the protection of the environment or safety requirements. Mobile phone design is required to at least facilitate disassembly for removal of components requiring special treatments prior to recycling. This should cover at least the materials and components listed in Annex 7 of the EU WEEE directive. Mobile phone manufacturers must also provide, upon request, instructions to recyclers on how to remove components that require separate treatments. Durability and reliability of the mobile phone. Durability is of high importance when reducing the overall environmental impact of mobile phones. Design for reliability means to design products with high resistance to wear and tear without breaking down, and to operate according to high expected performance throughout a specific period without failure. Therefore, the manufacturer is required to, as a minimum, to provide information on the following reliability-related performance indicators of the mobile phone, which includes minimum expected life cycle of the battery measured according to the applicable standards, degree of protection against water ingress provided by the enclosure of the mobile phone measured by applicable standards. Furthermore, the manufacturer is also required to inform the user of the phone of measures to be taken to maximize battery performance and avoid damage to the battery. enable the user of the phone to check the actual health of the battery in order to determine whether it needs replacement, and inform the user about negative impact of software upgrades on the performance of the mobile phone, if any. The next thing to consider is upgradability of the mobile phone. Upgrading in principle may involve the hardware, software, or the service that accompanies the phone. However, due to rapid technological development of interdependent technologies employed in a small form factor, the updating of individual hardware components of mobile phones is technically very challenging. Since the introduction of smartphones, functionality of mobile phones to a large degree is determined by software applications as well as cloud services. Consequently, the availability of updates for the software as well as related manufacturer services has become the most important factor to ensure upgradability. The upgradability of a mobile phone must, therefore, be assessed in terms of a minimum time period during which the manufacturer ensures software support for the operating system of the mobile phone, as well as access of the mobile phone to cloud services offered by the manufacturer. Repair of the mobile phone. Repairing a mobile phone extends its useful life. This is another way of reducing overall product environmental impact. Posting repair information online or otherwise providing public information regarding repair services, including repair contact details, allows customers to utilize appropriate repair services. Manufacturers are required to provide repair services through a program that may include the use of manufacturer-authorized professionals and which must be provided to customers in the markets where the manufacturer retails the mobile phone, at least for the duration of the warranty. Manufacturers are also required to provide repair and disassembly information to contract or certified repair service providers. This may include step-by-step disassembly instructions, diagram of parts and compatibility charts, product specification, maintenance procedures, or troubleshooting information. Some phone parts, especially the battery, front, and end casings, display, and the main printed circuit board, will have different degrees of disassemblyability, which needs to be assessed by the manufacturer. Take-back program. Manufacturers are required to provide a take-back program for mobile phones either directly or through a contracted third party. Information about this program should be publicly posted. Compliance with the legal requirements should be also satisfied in jurisdictions where the existing legislation prevents manufacturers from providing their own take-back program but establish other programs. Primary recyclers selected in such programs should have a certification to a recognized environmental management system and a recycler-specific certification. Recycled content. The manufacturer must be able to specify the recycled content of gold, aluminum, and steel in the mobile phone. The fifth eco-criterion to be covered is packaging and printed material. The first thing to consider under this is restriction of heavy metal in packaging. The sum of the concentrations of lead, cadmium, mercury, and hexavalent chromium in any packaging component must not exceed 100 ppm by weight, with the exception of packaging components that qualify for the recycled content exemption. Indications should also be publicly posted listing whether elemental chlorine has been used as a bleaching agent to bleach fibers used in the product packaging. Inks are exempted. Recycled fibers that may have been used previously with chlorine are acceptable, if not used again after the recycling process. The second is sustainably sourced fiber packaging and printed content. Indications are required to be publicly posted if virgin materials used in the point-of-sale packaging and accompanying printed content, such as instruction manuals, warranty documents, etc., have been sourced from certified sources. Acknowledged certificates are those issued by the Forest Stewardship Council, FSC, the Program for the Endorsement of Forest Certification, PEFC, or a national forest certification system endorsed by PEFC. The third is recycled content. Indications should publicly posted listing whether the point-of-sale packaging contains recycled content in fiber and plastic packaging. Recycled content must also be calculated as a percentage of the total mass for each material. The next is single-use plastic packaging. The manufacturer is required to indicate if a strategy to eliminate single-use plastic packaging is adopted. For product packaging minimization, it is expected that manufacturers will minimize the total volume and weight of the package to the minimum adequate amount to maintain the necessary level of safety, hygiene, and acceptance for the packed product and for the consumer. For packaging materials used that are greater than 25 grams should also be separable into recyclable streams. Recyclability of packaging materials can only be achieved domestically. The route that most of the mobile phone packaging will go down if it can be easily separated into its constituent materials. For plastic packaging marking, plastic packaging marking should be marked according to the applicable standards or country-specific marking systems. It is a good practice that total plastic materials be marked according for parts weighing more than 25 grams. A recyclable item of packaging that is not marked as such may still not get recycled. The next is printing inks. The manufacturer must be able to specify whether the printing inks used on their printed materials originate in non-petroleum-based sources or not. Manuals. The manufacturer must be able to specify whether, when not informed by applicable regulation, the mobile phone is sold without any physical manual, either on paper or on a CD. Unless required by regulation, the mobile phone should come without a printed user manual. Manuals add weight and volume to packaging. Excluding tests required under regulatory safety or other legal constraints, it is expected that the reference package does not include any physical manual. This requirement does not apply to separately printed material regarding the warranty, regulatory, or safety information. A quick start guide or equivalent which only provides essential information necessary for the mobile phone to be used for the first time. The next eco-criterion to be covered is manufacturing and operations. Manufacturing facilities environmental management systems. The manufacturing facilities used in the final assembly of the mobile phone. Manufacturer-owned and contract facilities are required to be third-party certified according to either ISO 14001 Environmental Management Systems or the European Union Eco-Management Audit Scheme. Reduction of fluorinated greenhouse gas emission from LCD display manufacturing. More than 75% of the manufactured liquid crystal display LCD for the use in the mobile phones, either by annual cost, part number, or volume purchase or such, should be done under certain conditions. These conditions include those that reduce, recover, or destroy fluorinated greenhouse gas of at least 90% of the total volume used in manufacturing and ancillary operations. This can be done through optimization processes, abatement technologies, gas recycling, or other methods. Chemicals not used as clean solvent during manufacturing. Certain chemicals specified in the standard must not be used as clean solvent during the manufacturing process of mobile phones and the circuit board. The manufacturer is required to provide evidence to show that mobile phones meet these requirements. For any conflict minerals, the manufacturer is required to indicate if within the supply chain conflict minerals have been used for the production of the mobile phone. If so, the manufacturer should also disclose use and source of these minerals under SEC rules or OECD guidance. Further, information on developing and implementing a comprehensive conflict minerals management system is available in Recommendation ITUT L Supplement 21. The next eco-criterion to be covered is corporate practices. Under this, the main consideration is corporate sustainability reporting. The manufacturer is required to publish a corporate sustainability report or equivalent information on at least every other year. Standards or frameworks for reporting or third-party assurance may include, but are not limited to, the Global Reporting Initiative Sustainability Reporting Standards, or commonly known as GRI standards, that are in fact at the time, or their equivalent such as Electronic Industry Citizenship Coalition, EICC, Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, SASB, third-party verification standards accepted by Carbon Disclosure Project, CDP, and Sustainability Assessment Framework, SASF. The information must be made publicly available on their manufacturer's website. The last eco-criterion to be covered is transboundary movements. If manufacturers collect mobile phones at their end of life and do not send them for treatment in the country of collection, they are required to comply with the requirements of transboundary waste shipments such as the Basel Convention. Thank you for your participation in this course. We hope that you found this informative and will join us in the remaining courses that are part of this series.